The global hygiene market is worth $78 billion annually and growing by 7% each year. In developing a novel treatment of coarse wool, Derilee Potros-Smith has created a material described as the Gore-Tex of the hygiene products world, with the potential to become a significant part of that growing market. It may also provide a welcome boost for our wool industry.
Well, I grew up in a farming family that have been farming sheep and beef for over 50 years. We were sheep farming up in Taranaki, all around Taranaki actually. I think most farmers would probably recognise that in 1989, 1990 there was a big crash in the wool price, and for my family the wool clip brought in 60% of their income, and then overnight that pretty much dropped down to 10%. So it was pretty devastating. I think it made me kind of reconsider, whether I should be farming and maybe I should be doing something else. I mean, at that stage, I was only 16, and so I started to really think about maybe going to university, and I decided to do that. And I went and did an engineering degree, and I thought that might be my way of actually helping, in the future. Well, when I had my children, my mum and dad were still farming at that time, and it was a very regular conversation in our family. When she was visiting, she was always talking about, what are we going to do about the wool? And, we need to find a product. And we both sort of sat down around the table and we're talking about, look, if we're going to really make a huge impact to the wool industry, we need to find a product that actually requires a lot of wool and people are going to use all the time, and people are going to buy it even when there is a recession or a pandemic. And so it would just so happen that when I was changing my son's nappy, my mum said, you go through a lot of nappies, and that was the light bulb moment for us. When you become a first-time mum, you're trying to find all the best products for your baby, and you don't realise just what's in a nappy because none of the manufacturers actually have to state what is actually in these products, and there's not a lot of difference between a plastic bottle and a nappy. They both contain a cup of crude oil, which is shocking. But if you consider a baby will use between 4,000 to 6,000 nappies by the time they're potty trained, I mean, manufacturers are making 20 million nappies an hour. You're going to have a huge impact on our environment with the waste that generates. 2010, we entered a competition for the Bright Ideas Challenge, and we actually got into the top 20 ideas out of about 1,000 applications, and that allowed us to then sort of have a little bit of credibility in our idea. We were going to make a disposable, biodegradable nappy made of wool, and Beef and Lamb gave us some money at that time out of the old wool levy fund, and we used that money with Ag Research, who actually helped us develop our washable wool material initially, and then we actually went on to develop some other technology using funds from AgMart and Ministry of Primary Industries. The funds from MPI were $80,000 that went towards a $200,000 project. And what we did there is we ran some trials. So we were making this material, very lightweight material, and the proposition was just to put a layer of wool inside a disposable nappy. And we worked with 4 different manufacturers that actually produce these products around the world. And what they did is they basically took out this one particular layer out of their nappy and replaced it with our wool layer. And the results have just been absolutely amazing. We were actually able to increase the performance of their products by up to 40%. So NewFlex is a material that we use for disposable nappies. And typically what you find in a nappy is these type of materials, which are made of polypropylene or polyethylene. So we've basically replaced that one layer with a woolen layer. And this is the ecological equivalent, so it's completely biodegradable and compostable, but it also provides that thermal regulation to the baby, which is something that hasn't been offered in the market before.
As well as NewFlex, used for disposable nappies, a thicker absorbent material with a treatment called NewZorb has also been developed.
This is a material that we make entirely in New Zealand, and basically it's been cleaned scoured, and then we needle punch it, and that's a type of felting process. And what people wouldn't probably realise is that wool isn't very absorbent. It's moisture hating, so it will try and repel any kind of moisture. Then what we've got here is the next step is we have a treatment process called Nuzorb, and so this then allows for this material to absorb over 10 times its weight in moisture. That then puts it on par with microfibres and bamboo-related materials in terms of its absorbency. We're using a 30 to 37 micron wool because that's what 90% of our farmers are actually producing. Things have changed since my family have been farming over the last 50 years. So they're tending to shear twice every 2 years as opposed to twice a year. And so what we actually need as farmers to go back to that twice a year so we can keep a steady flow of demand for the wool. And of course quality as well. So from time to time we get vegetable matter in our wool, and we just can't have that in a hygiene product, healthcare product. So we talk to farmers and rouseys and shearing contractors about what they could be doing better to make sure that that vegetable matter is out of there. We have product developers contact us all the time with a new idea, and we can just tweak this particular material by changing the composition as well. So there is a myriad of different opportunities there to sort of bring life to wool into other applications.